Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Haikal bin Mokhtar, A23 SMJE3143, Session 1 student for SMJE3143 Communication Electronics. So today I will present about the analog and digital modulation technique. So for the introduction, what is modulation? Modulation enables efficient long-distance communication by shifting baseband signal onto high-frequency carrier wave, which improve spectrum utilization and enhance signal reliability during transmission. There are two types of modulation, which is analog modulation and digital modulation. Analog modulation consists of frequency modulation and analog modulation, and for the digital modulation consists of amplitude shift keying and phase shift keying. There are more types of digital modification, but I only include these two examples. The choice of modulation depends on the noise, bandwidth, and complexity. So next, this is the specific slide for amplitude modulation, where we can see here in amplitude modulation, the amplitude of the carrier signal varies in proportion to the message signal, while the frequency and phase remain constant, which means the amplitude is changing to send a signal with less noise. So this modulation technique is relatively simple to implement, requiring uncomplicated transmitter and receiver circuit. However, because noise and interference primarily affect signal amplitude, AM is highly sensitive to noise, which can significantly degrade signal quality. Despite this limitation, AM is widely used in radio broadcasting due to its simplicity, low cost, and ability to cover long distance. At the left side of the slide, you can see the amplitude modulation circuit. Next, we're going to frequency modulation slide, which is FM slide. In frequency modulation, the frequency of the carrier signal varies in accordance with the message signal, while the amplitude remains constant. This modulation technique provides better noise immunity than amplitude modulation because noise has less effect on frequency variation. However, FM requires a wider bandwidth for transmission, which reduces spectral efficiency. Despite this, FM is widely used in FM radio broadcasting and television audio system due to its superior sound quality and resistance to interference. So on the left side of the slide, you can see the frequency modulation circuit. Moving on to the digital modulation part, I am going to explain about the amplitude shift keying first, or also known as ASK. ASK is a digital modulation technique in which information is conveyed by varying the amplitude of the carrier signal. It is simple to implement, with on-off keying being the most basic form, where the presence or absence of the carrier represent binary data. However, ASK is highly sensitive to noise and interference because noise directly affects signal amplitude. Despite this drawback, ASK is commonly used in applications such as RFID system and optical communication links, where simplicity and low power consumption are important. Last but not least, we're going to talk about phase shift keying, or also known as PSK. This is one of the digital modulation technique. PSK is a digital modulation technique in which information is carried by changes in the phase of the carrier signal while the amplitude remains constant. This approach provides high noise immunity, making PSK more reliable than amplitude-based modulation such as ASK and AM. However, PSK requires coherent detection at the receiver, which increases complexity due to the need for accurate carrier phase synchronization. Because of its robustness and efficiency, PSK is widely used in modern communication such as Wi-Fi, cellular network, and satellite communication. These are the comparison between the analog and digital modulation. You can see analog is more simple, low cost, and noise sensitive, but for digital it is more complex but efficient and reliable. For nowadays, digital dominates the modern system. In conclusion, AM and FM are simple modulation techniques but have limited performance in terms of noise, immunity, and bandwidth efficiency. In contrast, digital modulation schemes such as ASK and PSK provide better, reliable, and performance, especially in noisy environments. As a result, digital modulation is preferred in modern communication systems due to its efficiency and robustness. So that's all for me. Thank you.